The rain had been falling steadily all morning in Seattle. Claire Bennett sat behind her desk, fingers tapping absently on a worn coffee mug, when her assistant slipped an envelope onto the table. It was cream-colored. No return address, just her name typed in block letters. Inside, a single photo. A teenage boy, brown hair, solemn eyes, a dimpled chin so familiar it made her breath hitch. Beneath the photo, a short letter. Michael Turner, age 15, missing. Believed to be your biological son. Claire's heart stopped. Impossible. She had mourned that child 16 years ago. She had been told he hadn't made it past the first day. It was the summer of storms. Claire had been deployed to Savannah, Georgia as a disaster relief coordinator after a Category 4 hurricane tore through the coast. There she met Jackson Turner, a warm, rugged EMT with eyes that carried a weight she recognized. Their connection was fast, comforting, reckless. 3 months passed in a blur of emergency shelters, field clinics, and whispered conversations beneath swaying trees. When her assignment ended, she flew back to Seattle, silent about the child growing inside her. They had never made promises. He had never asked. And when her water broke at just 30 weeks, she was rushed into surgery. Afterward, a nurse approached her bed with quiet eyes and a clipboard. "We're so sorry. He didn't survive the delivery." Claire signed the papers, let the grief swallow her, and flew out on her next assignment 2 weeks later. She buried the memory, convinced it was the only way to survive. Now, standing at a quiet street corner in Savannah, Claire gripped the photo of a teenage boy who looked just like Jackson. Her chest ached. She typed the address she had found online. Jack Turner, Fire Chief, Charleston Fire Department. It had been 16 years. The station was larger than she expected. Polished trucks, buzz of radios. She asked for him at the front desk, trying to still her shaking hands. And then there he was. Older, broader, the same sharp jawline and quiet strength. "Claire?" "Hi, Jack. She swallowed. "We need to talk." They sat in a small office at the back of the firehouse. Claire placed the letter on the table. Jack read it once, then again. His eyes narrowed. "You had a baby?" he asked, his voice a mix of confusion and pain. "I didn't know how to tell you. And then I was told, he died. I swear to you, I didn't know." Jack pushed back from the table, his face hard. "You let me walk away thinking we were just a fling. And now you say we had a son?" Claire looked down, tears burning. "I thought I was sparing us both, and I was wrong." They didn't speak much on the drive to Charleston. Just silence and the sound of the highway beneath them. Claire had managed to contact the private investigator who sent the letter. Michael had been adopted by a couple in Charleston. Loving people, it seemed, but the adoptive mother had died in a car crash 2 years ago. Michael had gone into the foster system. His most recent placement was with an overwhelmed aunt who barely kept track of him. 3 weeks ago, he disappeared. Jack clenched the wheel. Why would he run? Claire opened Michael's journal, retrieved from a backpack found at a bus stop. Inside were sketches of fire engines, cities, faces, and a single line that broke her heart. "I just want to find them. I need to know why they left me." They met with Detective Lisa Ray, a local officer who had been following the case. She gave them a file. Inside was the same photo Claire had received, alongside a disturbing note. "There's a group operating along the coast, posing as a teen support network. But they're not helping kids. They're taking them." Claire's stomach turned. They traced Michael's last phone ping to a small coastal town in South Carolina, a fishing town. Quiet, forgotten. There they learned about a compound, a house where several missing teens had been recruited for work and never returned. Michael was last seen entering a silver van with one of their known recruiters. The raid happened just before sunrise. Police vehicles crept up the long dirt road, headlights off. Claire and Jack stayed in the last car, hands clenched tightly together. "Please let him be okay," Claire whispered. The house was old and falling apart. Officers stormed in. Shouts echoed through the trees. Dogs barked. Then, "Chief Turner," someone called. "We found him." Claire ran, past the porch, past the overgrown yard. In a tool shed behind the house, she found him. Michael sat on a worn mattress, dirt on his face, his wrists bruised. His eyes lifted slowly. "Are you..." Claire? Her heart shattered. Yes. I'm your mom. I'm so sorry, I thought you were gone. He looked at her a long moment, then at Jack, who stood beside her, speechless. Michael asked in a voice barely louder than the wind, "Why didn't you want me?" Claire dropped to her knees. I did. I always did. I just didn't know. I'm here now. I won't leave again. The weeks that followed were quiet and fragile. Michael was placed in a recovery program. He met weekly with a trauma counselor and slowly began to open up. The porch light buzzed softly above them, casting a warm glow over the wooden steps. Crickets chirped in the dark, and the ocean breeze drifted in from the distance. Claire sat beside Michael on the porch swing, a blanket across her knees. He held a steaming mug of cocoa, his eyes distant. I keep thinking about that place, he said suddenly. The shed, the people. I wasn't sure anyone was coming for me. Claire's chest ached. I'm so sorry you ever had to feel that way, she said, brushing a loose curl from his forehead. I wish I could have changed everything. Gone back and made sure you never felt abandoned. He glanced at her, quiet, waiting. She knew it was time. Claire took a slow breath. Michael, I need to tell you something. Something I've never told anyone but your dad. He turned to her, brow furrowed. When I was 20, well, a little older, I got pregnant. I was scared. I hadn't planned on it, and your dad and I were both working disaster response after a hurricane. Life was chaotic. Michael stared into his cup, listening. I didn't tell him, she continued. I didn't tell anyone. I thought I could handle it alone. But there were complications during your birth. Serious ones. I went into labor early, emergency surgery. Her voice trembled, and she paused to steady it. When I woke up, a nurse told me you hadn't made it, that you were gone. Michael's eyes widened. What? Claire nodded, blinking back tears. I didn't question it. I was broken and numb. I buried the pain and flew to another country for work 2 weeks later. I never got a birth certificate, never asked for records. I just disappeared. But why wouldn't you check? He asked, voice small, hurt. Because if it was true, I'd lose you all over again. And if it wasn't? She looked at him now, voice cracking. Then I'd have to face the fact that I left you. And that haunted me. Michael didn't say anything at first. His jaw tightened. So someone lied? Yes, she whispered. We found out the nurse was part of an illegal adoption ring. I was tricked. They sold you to a family who thought they were saving a baby in need. So I was never unwanted? He asked. Claire placed her hand over his. Never. You were wanted from the moment I knew you existed. I mourned you like I'd lost part of my own body. And now that I have you again, I'll never let you go. Michael's face crumpled. He wiped at his cheek quickly. That's a lot, Mom. It was the first time he called her that. She smiled through tears. I know, and I'll walk with you through every step of it if you'll let me. He leaned into her awkwardly at first, then fully, resting his head on her shoulder. I think I'd like that. They rocked gently, the swing creaking with the rhythm of healing hearts. Would you? He liked guitar, and graphic novels, and pancakes. Jack built him a room in his home. Claire moved into an apartment nearby, but spent most mornings at their breakfast table, learning to fold into a life that should have always been theirs. Jack and Claire didn't talk about the past often, but some days, when Michael laughed, they exchanged glances full of what-ifs and quiet hope. It was a Sunday morning, early. The sun was barely up. Michael stood knee-deep in the Atlantic Ocean wearing a white t-shirt. Jack stood behind him. Claire watched from the shore, her heart in her throat. Michael Turner, the pastor said gently, do you believe God's grace can restore what's been lost? Michael nodded. Yes, I do. He was lowered into the water and raised up again, sunlight catching the waves around him like glitter. Claire pressed a hand to her heart. Jack wrapped an arm around her shoulder. They stood, the three of them, at the edge of the ocean, the place where things are lost and found again. The house was louder these days. Michael played guitar now, badly but joyfully. Claire taught a course on global development at a local college. Jack retired early and built custom furniture on the side. Sometimes they talked about what might come next. A family vacation, a birthday celebration, a future. But mostly, they lived in the grace of today. Your support means the world to us. By subscribing, liking, and sharing our stories, you help us grow and inspire more people. Every click you make enhances our community, bringing joy and connection to everyone. Let your loved ones experience the journey we share, spreading positivity and creativity. Join us in this adventure. Together, we can make waves of change one story at a time.